It's Thursday, so it's time for Thursday's Thoughts, and I'm going to ease into some controversial topics. Just kidding. It's only controversial if you have an opinion. This week, I'm going to talk about a topic that's something I've known all my life, all I've had to deal with, and that's, Gingerism, hairism, derogatory remarks made to redheads that receive little to no punishment. If anything, it's just funny. Yeah. I wanted to tell you guys, up here, you can't see it in this camera, but there's a, and I'm not going to be able to do it, but there's a speed limit radar detector thing up here, and when there's nobody out here, when I'm not behind somebody, I like to see how high I can get this number. And what's funny is, I think once you get over like 50 or 55, it takes too long to register, so I'm already zipped by it by the time it pops the speed. So I really want to do it one time with somebody behind me to see exactly what it reads when I zip by it, you know. That's just fun. There's not usually cops on this road too often, and a lot of the times it's pretty empty. So this is a topic that's kind of near and dear to my heart. Growing up a redhead, and times were a little different. You know, I'm in my 40s, so I grew up in the mid to late 70s, early 80s, and it wasn't a kinder, gentler place back then. It was survival of the fittest, kind of bullies kind of ran amok. If you were to judge by any of the after-school specials that they used to have, the biggest concern at school really was being bullied and how to overcome it. You know, sometimes you could just fight back, sometimes you ignore them, sometimes you... Well, anyway, doesn't matter because it's not like that anymore. It's not like that anymore. I have a redheaded daughter, and I know, and that's another part I want to talk about is girls tend to have it a little bit easier than boys, from what I found out. But boys, oof, man, do we get it, or at least we used to. I don't know what it's like anymore. So if you guys aren't familiar with what it's like to be a redhead, imagine being called a name of some sort, some creative little something or another, and it's done almost daily, and no one does anything about it because it's not offensive to them, to those who don't have red hair. I know you've heard of the different ones, like, hey, probably the one I used to hear a lot was, I'm gonna beat you like a redheaded stepchild, which I never took offense to until I became a stepchild, and so now it's like all bets are off. It's like, oh, well, there's going to be some beatings. But in reality, like, it's just one of those things I just have to deal with. Rather be dead than red on the head, copper top. A fun one after I went through puberty was, hey, is your hair the same all over? Does the carpet match the drapes? Which is really dumb, because who matches carpet and drapes? If you go in anybody's house, they may have different, like, hey, I've got red drapes, but I went with beige carpet. Like, I mean, I wish I'd have thought about that 30 years ago. But anyway, yeah, and it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. Oh, another one that used to get me was people would say stuff like, hey, redheads have hot tempers, man. Oh, I actually had a coach one time say, hey, don't rile them up, man. Those redheads, they got hot tempers, man. He gonna get mad and do stuff. I'm a pretty peaceful guy. Like, that's not stuff that really, I mean, it takes a lot to agitate me. But, you know, when you say, hey, when you tell somebody that they're angry, or they're going to be angry, or they're just angry in general, it's like sticking a finger in their face and going, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you. And you do that about 4 times, and you get your hand smacked out of the face, and then you're like, oh, why'd you hit me? That's what it's like when somebody says I've got a hot temper just because I have red hair. Like, that's what it's like. Like, I can't win, and nobody defends me, because guess what? There's only 2% of the world population that has red hair, and then, which makes sense. It's probably higher in the pasty countries, you know, northern European countries, where no one has melanin in their skin. But in the other countries, like, India and China make up about a third, if not over a third of the world's population. And they can actually spend 15 minutes out in the sun every day and not have any adverse reactions. Sunblock 50 is not really something you can buy there, I assume. Anyway, life as a redhead's not that easy. And to kind of put things into perspective for you guys, imagine if it wasn't hair that they were making fun of, but skin color. If it was skin color, imagine how angry everybody would get. I'm not talking racial slurs necessarily, not on that level, but just the fact that no one else gets made fun of for their hair based on the color. A few years ago, the world's largest sperm bank flat out said, hey, we're not taking any more sperm from redheads, which I kind of took offense to, because if they were to say something to the effect of, hey, we're not taking any black curly hair sperm anymore, we're just not doing it, everybody would flip their lids, they'd blow their tops, they'd be angrier than a redheaded stepchild. But business-wise, it makes sense, because again, 2% of the population, what women is going to order that sperm when 98% of the women don't have red hair in their families? So just business-wise, it makes sense. But imagine how hot the entire world would get if they were like, no more brunette hair at all, ever. We're not doing that. It just, they get crazy upset. So that's life as a ginger, for real. It's not hard, but it's not fun a lot of the times. You get picked on just because you have red hair. You stand out. You can't hide, right? I used to sit next to this kid next to me. He was as much of a cut up as I was, but I stood out. So I was the one that get caught, even if I wasn't even doing anything. So that reputation. So I just took with it. I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna stand out, I'm gonna stand out. So I was like, you know what? You guys are gonna pick on me anyway, so I'm gonna wear the super loud neon green everything. It doesn't matter. I could wear the normal clothes, but you still pick on me. So I'm just gonna do what I want. Who cares? But again, I'm a big believer in good comes out of bad. So as a result, I have a pretty thick skin. It takes a lot to really push my buttons. I've had people say things. I'm like, that's the best you got? That's what you got for me? Okay, all right. Why don't you go read this book and come up with something creative? Yeah. So think about this. The next time you come across somebody who has red hair, don't give in. It's not funny. And you're not telling a redhead anything he hasn't heard a bajillion times. Again, a bajillion times. I need that many subscribers. So go ahead and subscribe so I can hit that bajillion mark. Then we'll hit the gazillion later on. But yeah, man, there's so much hatred towards gingers that you guys don't even see. Like South Park, they instituted or brought about whatever, I don't know what you call it, created National Kick a Ginger Day, which I didn't like, and then I liked it even less because I found out it's actually my birthday. Kick a Ginger Day is my birthday, so not only do I get to hear that, I get to get kicked. I haven't ever been kicked though, partially because my hair is not as red as it used to be. That's another thing I hate about my hair. I feel like my hair betrayed me. Like all growing up, I had to deal with the redhead, better be dead, copper top, carrot top. No, that's another one. Ugh. Anyway, so all that stuff I had to deal with, and then my daughter, who has red hair, she's born obviously a redhead. She's red from head to toe. I'm holding her. The nurse comes in, and she looks at me, and she's doing whatever, and she says, "Oh, where'd she get her red hair?" And I'm telling you, I had long hair. I had a big beard, and she goes, "Oh, well, I guess your hair is kind of red." I'm like, really? Really? All that torture that I had to endure growing up, and I can't get credit for giving birth, having the offspring with red hair? So curse you, hair. Curse you. I guess your beard's kind of red. So yeah, man, hey, if you guys have any comments on gingers, I don't care if you want to talk smack. Give me something creative. Talk smack about gingers down in that comment section. Do it, man. Do it. I guarantee you I've heard everything. Nothing you're going to give me is going to be new. It may be a take on an old one that's new, but I guarantee you I've heard it before. Probably one that I hated the most was a girl. She would make fun of me and she would call me an orange-headed orangutan, and I never understood why. Like, anyway. So leave a comment down there, and if you haven't subscribed, man, thank you again for everybody who has. But if you haven't subscribed, man, hit that subscribe button, man. I tell you what, man, I've had such an influx over the last few days about all of this, and man, you guys are making me smile, and my wife's kind of happy because the closer I get to that target, the more she's going to approve of future endeavors regarding this channel. Yeah, so yeah, hit me up, guys.